Hello, guys. Welcome to this particular discussion on the topic careers after MIM. This is a very interesting topic. Reason is very simple, guys. The whole purpose of you writing the GMAT exam, you pursuing your MIM or any program for that matter, is like you want to get a decent job. You want to settle in your career. You want a decent jump in terms of salaries. So this discussion, what are we going to look into it? We will understand what really happens after your MIM program, right? You completed your MIM program from one of the very good universities in abroad or in India. What happens after that? What are the kind of companies that come and recruit you? What are the kind of industries where you can find a job? It doesn't matter, right? If you worked in an industry previously before and you want to shift your industry, and this is the right juncture to do it. For example, let's say you're working in an IT firm, you want to shift into consulting, or you want to shift into manufacturing or FMCG, etc. Right? So this will be an venue where you can, make that shift, particularly trying and understanding what are the different kind of industries that recruit. So what is the best thing here is that MIM gives the flexibility. You can always change your industry. So how does it happen? Is very simple, guys. You have your elective subjects, right? During your 12-month, 18-month program, you have elective subjects. So you choose electives in such a way that those are the industries that you want to get placed into. Then the companies will definitely have a look into. So let's quickly run through the options and let's get started. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm typically taking one university as a reference so that otherwise it will become a general gyan, right? I will simply tell the common facts. These kind of companies come and recruit, these kind of industries recruit, these kind of domains recruit. It wouldn't make any sense. So I'm going to take this particular university by the name HEC Paris, a B school in France. It's a very, very reputed institute or university in the Europe, especially France, for doing an MIM program. So what happens after the MIM program? So this is typically the class placement statistics. The source of this particular information is HEC Paris website. Okay, we've got it straight away from the website. Now, if you look at two major chunks, or what I call as two major recruiters, the industries or the companies that recruit are basically financial services, finance companies, and then consulting services. That they themselves occupy close to 68 percentage. Okay, 68 percentage of the recruitment batch. Okay, major chunk. Now, does it mean that? Okay, Mr. Hemant, look, I don't have a consulting or a financial background. Okay, I come from an IT company. I come from a startup. I come from, let's say, FMCG. So does this mean that there are no careers for me? Definitely not. For example, the next major chunk is basically information technology, IT, 8% of the class. Okay, again, 6% comes from consumer services, all your FMCG industries. Again, core, for example, people who come from engineering background, core engineering background, industrial and utilities companies, 6% of the hires. Okay, consumer goods, people who come from commerce background, okay, or people who come from mechanical background specifically, consumer goods recruit you. Or let's say even luxury. For example, if you're a person who is highly passionate about luxury, you have a very strong background, or let's say even a family business, something related to luxury, yes, you have 4% of the companies recruiting you. Similarly, in the health sector, for example, people who are specifically from the bio background, you have done your BTech in biotechnology, or let's say BSc in bioscience, etc. So all these people, companies also accordingly come and recruit. So the interesting fact is that yes, majority is basically in financial service and consulting. So it doesn't mean that the other chunk, for example, this represents what, 68 percentage. Okay, so you still have 32 percentage of the class left. So you can always choose which of the careers more suitable. Now here it's an inference. Okay, for example, you can say that people who are coming from consulting and finance background, blindly you can take up HEC Paris, because major chunk of the people or the students who are getting recruited there come in financial and consulting. Okay, so every school has its own DNA, guys. For example, there are certain schools which are very famous for HR. Okay, for HR, human resources, all the top-notch companies, IT companies, tech companies, etc., come and recruit, for the HR functions specifically from those B schools. So you can always decide which is going to be your B school. Choose your school accordingly. So this is one samples I'm showing. What are the careers typically after MIM? Let's go further. Okay. Now this is another interesting statistics from HEC Paris. Look at this particular number. 97% found employment within 3 months. Okay, let me tell you this fact straight away. Okay, even you take very good B schools in India, you take your IIMs, ISB. Yes, a major chunk of people always get recruited in the first 2-3 rounds, but otherwise people usually take 2 to 3 or even sometimes 4 months. Why is it so? Because I'll tell my own example of Great Lakes. Okay, we started our MBA program way back in May. Okay, it was way back in May we started. So the next April we end our journey with the B school. So what typically happens is recruiters start coming in the month of November itself. Okay, so June, July, August, September, October, and then November. So in a span of 6 months itself, your recruiters start coming in because we are already experienced. We have already completed 2 trimesters in the MBA program. So typically people start coming in November. But I still remember, guys, the entire batch in my class. We were around 400 and 450 people. The entire batch in my class took almost 4 to 4.5 months to complete the recruitment process, because some people only got recruited by March or April. Okay, whereas look at this, right? 97% of the class got employment within a span of 3 months. That's very, very critical. Okay, majority of the class gets recruited in a span of 3 months. So that talks about the demand of the MIM program in the industry. And again, look at this, right? For example, if the problem with India is that, yes, there are very good companies in India. India is a growing economy, etc., etc. But when you take a B school, right, the majority of the people who get recruited there, or the companies that come and recruit, are basically the Indian-based companies, or they would be a foreign-based company, but they would have their back offices operating in India. Whereas when you look at an international MIM program, right, you get recruited in different countries. So there is an international exposure there. For example, look at this. 30% only find a job in France, because HEC Paris is basically in France, right? Only 30% find a job, which means the rest of the 70% get recruited outside. Whereas in India, it's just the reverse, guys, okay? Only 30% will get an international recruitment, whereas 70% get a local Indian recruitment. See, it's not that we don't want you to be in a particular country where you do your MBA. As simple as that, okay? When you get an international placement, naturally the salaries are much, much higher. That's a simple logic here. So only 30% get in France, whereas the next major chunk is in UK, another 24 chunk in European countries, 10% in Asia, and again a small percentage in America as well. So you have your variety of options, those are available. Again, the same numbers represent 35% in financial, 31% in consulting, other small percentage in every other sectors are available. Okay, and look at this. This is the best part, okay? Average starting salary 57,000 euros. If you compute it to dollars, it is around like, I guess so, it's around 50 to 55, I guess. Okay, or I think it's even more because your dollar is valued more than a euro. It will be around 60 to 70k or even 80k thousand US dollars. Okay, so that's a very interesting option. Okay, MIM is not something that's going to give you a small salary lift. At the same time, unlike an MBA, it won't give you a massive salary hike, but definitely from your current salary in India, whatever you guys are getting, compared to that, the magnitude of salary hike you get is massive there. 57,000 euros is no less, guys. Okay, so that's an interesting statistic, what we want to tell you here. Okay. Now, again, I told you, right, we looked at different industries. So we want to understand typically the company's name, right? For example, the same HEC Paris, right? You take all your top consulting companies, for example, you have your Boston Consulting Group, you have your McKinsey and Company, your banks, Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank, Deloitte Consulting, PNP Paribas Bank, France-based bank, Barclays Bank, Bain and Company Consulting. So typically all the top threes come and recruit. Okay, all the top threes are covered here itself. McKinsey, Boston Consulting, and Bain and Company. So all the top three consulting firms are covered here, which means you don't even have to worry. If you're from a consulting background, HEC Paris is one of the best options for you, right? Similarly, I told you, right, even people from non-consulting and non-finance background come and recruit. For example, you got your Procter & Gamble, your FMCG, or you got your Rocket Internet, which is an typical internet-based tech company. PwC, one of the big fours. Goldman Sachs, the bank. Google, your tech company, of course. JP Morgan, your bank. KPMG, your big fours. L'Oreal, your FMCGs. You got a Unilever, again in FMCG, right? So again, the options are always wide. For example, EY. So big fours, okay, the top fours, and I mean the big threes and the big fours. Okay, for example, I have a very interesting case. I have one of my roommates, junior guy in Great Lakes. Okay, we're all in the same room in Bangalore. Okay, so this guy is working in EY basically. After his graduation, got recruited by EY, but the problem is very less salary, around 3 to 4 lakhs in a very, very entry loan. Got his MBA from Great Lakes, got a salary hike of around 10 to 12 lakhs. Look at this, a salary hike from 3 lakhs to almost of 10 to 12 lakhs. Okay, in just span of 2 years of MBA program, MIM program, basically. Okay, so that's an interesting part, guys. Okay, for example, if you're working in already in big four or the big three consulting firms, getting recruited post your MIM becomes very, very easier. Okay, for example, you can check with your seniors in your company. There are people who get recruited like this. For example, in India, right, ISB has a very interesting tie-up with Ernst & Young, EY, where for their mid-level managers and their top-level managers, they need not necessarily go for a second MBA. So the company itself has a tie-up with ISB where they go for a leadership program and they get their salary hike. So those are very, very interesting options that you guys can consider, right? Now, again, so all these were looks little bit dicey, right? So you want to actually meet real people who have graduated of HEC France. France. We made this very interesting research. So we went to LinkedIn. I would literally say we stalked, but in reality, it's not stalking. It's just going through profiles. So we looked at different people who graduated out of HEC Paris, did their MIM program there, and we looked at where are they currently working, what are the typical designations they're working. So we have a lot of people. Again, I'll start with a typical Indian. So this guy co-founded his own app or his own company business. Okay, Ankit Goyal. Again, we have another guy, a Brit guy from worked as a senior consultant. He got placed there. Similarly, we got different people. Let's say even a guy in a tech industry. Okay, because Indians are very very strong in tech. Your background could be from IT. I told you right. There are also other non-financial, non-consulting companies coming and hiring. So this guy is a very clear example of that. Aditya Veluri, right? So again, different companies. For example, Facebook marketing. Okay, or let's say you can talk about capital finance, core finance. Okay, or you can talk about group strategy at Philips, core manufacturing and type of industries. Again, a banking industries, Barclays, or you can also take a Bain and Company, big three guys. Okay, so options are always there, guys. This is a real proof that I'm not just telling some numbers that's there on a website. This is a real proof that yes, people do exist and people do work there, especially after pursuing the MIM program, right? And again, so this is one very monotonous example. I've been only talking about HEC Paris. So does this mean that that's the only university available in the world? Definitely not. There's another interesting university, Canada, because most of the candidates are not typically preferring US, Europe, UK for some reason, but that's a myth we always tell students. We ask them what is your next choice. They naturally come by telling Mr. Hemant, Canada is my next choice because we feel it's more safe there. Visa process are much easier. So I'm going to take one example of Canada and go through it. So McGill University MIM program specifically in finance. That's an interesting piece. Okay, I already told you right. There are certain universities which are very very reputed for certain specializations, and if you come from that particular background, if you have a strong application and a strong profile on that particular background, then your chance of getting an admit in that particular B school is very very high. Point number two is that after you complete your MIM program, your chance of getting recruited by the company is also massively high because you always have a very strong background, right? Now, again, you take McGill University, you look at by industries, okay, this is an interesting piece. For example, in consulting, there are different things. For example, management is there, M&A is there, and financial strategy is there, and also audit. Okay, so different functions you can get into, or you can take others. For example, you can get into technology, you can get into media, energy, real estate, insurance, government and public policy, or you want to stick to your core finance, you can get into investment management, commercial banking, IB, private equity, venture capitalist, private wealth management. Different kind of functions, they get recruited. Now, if you look in terms of, this is in terms of industries. If you look in terms of function, is again inside finance, you got a risk management, qualitative analysis, provided you very very strong in numbers, M&As, securities insurance, advisories, corporate finance and treasuries. Similarly in consulting, you can go by management and strategy or financial services and your economic consulting. Okay, so by different functions, by different industries, the recruitment also happens. So you can always cross check, right? So when I say finance is a big ocean. You can't just tell it's reputed for finance, I will get recruited. You have to ensure that you have these backgrounds so that these universities, if you get inside these universities, you have a much higher chance of recruitment, right? Again, another interesting university, George Mason University in US, MIM. The reason why we're taking this particular university is that if you look at George Mason's, right, not a very great overall ranked university, okay, but with specific to MIM, it's one of the top 10 ranks, top 50 rank basically. Okay. Now again, there is an interesting statistics here. If you take the class of 2016, right, for the MIM program, 82% completed an internship during the program. That's very very critical, guys. Why? Because even your MIM or MBA, right, it cost you a lot. MBA cost you a bomb, whereas MIM is relatively lesser, but still that's a cost that's standing on your pocket, right? Now, how do you typically recover that cost? Only after you start working you recover that cost, but not necessarily. Why? Because during your MBA itself or MIM itself, you can do an internship. For example, in Great Lakes, right, I was consulting for 2 to 3 startups as my internship. Okay, so this was inside the campus itself. I already had them as a prior clients. So I told them I'm going to intern. Before I was a tech consultant, then I become a management consultant, right? So I was consulting during my internship itself, where I made money from them. So that's an interesting piece. And look at the statistics: 82% of the class already completed an internship during the program itself. So it's not that they have to complete the program, then go for an internship, then get recruited. Okay, that's an interesting statistics. Again, look at this: average starting salary is $54,000 per annum. Massive starting salaries. 74% employed or completing internship at the graduation, which means you either get recruited by a company or you get an internship, which further gets converted into employment. So that is an interesting statistics. Now, this is an interesting statistics. Again, real people graduating out of George Mason's University for an MIM program. Now, the interesting piece is here. I always tell students, right, as a fresher, especially people who come from diverse background. For example, people who come from science, people who come from arts background, people who come from humanities background, people who come from law background. MBA might not always be the suitable program for you. Reason is very simple. For you to get into an MBA, your core solid work experience is needed, okay? And the industry that comes and recruits after MBA, right? It should be big enough so that you can actually get recruited by that particular company or industry. Whereas an MIM is not like that, because MIMs typically get you into an entry level management role where there is a much more wide variety of options, unlike a senior level management role. Why this is so? Because this person, right, Kayla Peterson, very interesting. Look at this. Her undergrad degree is from psychology, BA, BSc or something in psychology. Internship in an HR division, okay, in a company called as Envision. In some HR she's worked, and again she got recruited in regional human resource assistant, BDO USA, some company based out of US. Okay, now this is very interesting. Unlike in conventional MBA, right? Because after your MBA, getting recruited in a HR position is very, very thin chances. And specifically, if you come from a non-engineering or a non-commerce or a non-management background, it becomes very, very challenging. Whereas look at these options. People coming from completely eccentric backgrounds, for example, psychology, for example, law, architecture, science, core sciences, etc. They all have these options of getting recruited. That's an interesting part about the MIM program. Okay, another guy, undergrad in economics, internship as a policy analyst in a Smith Electrical Car. That's one of the very good companies based in the US. Worked as a consultant in Deloitte. Very interesting journey. Okay, again look at this. Undergrad degree, arts history. Okay, internship in marketing, distributed information technologies, got a role as a business analyst. Okay, another guy, basically undergrad degree is basically kinesiology. Honestly guys, even I don't know what is that particular subject, but it comes under some humanities, science and arts, right? Look at this, national security in a company, and then a policy analyst in one of the very good firms in the US. Okay, again undergrad degree communication, viscom and all these things, internship in marketing, and again career in digital sales specialist in some company. Undergrad biology, okay, people are coming from bio backgrounds, internship as a management intern, okay, and then a property manager in a real estate firm. So that becomes very critical, guys. The diversity is always there and the flexibility is always there when you consider MIM. Whereas typically what happens is people are forced to change their domains. They never specialize, okay. They start their career with some humanities, they would have studied something in their 10th and 12th, and they'll be working completely different. Whereas that kind of inflexibility is not at all needed. You can always choose your career based on your strengths and weaknesses. So this is just one example where I wanted to cite, right, where people coming from different backgrounds, why MIM is a very suitable program for them compared to a conventional MBA program. Okay guys, so hopefully whatever we discussed inspire you to, this is a small sample set guys, okay. If you can really go deep, for example, try and understand what exactly is your profile, look at various universities and then draw your career path before even you start this journey. Small sample I have shown in terms of how do we really work in depth with our students in terms of pursuing their careers. So hopefully this will justify the fact that considering an MIM program for different reasons, you come from a different background, you come from an eccentric background, there was a mixed match, or you want to change your career, why MIM justifies all that option is something as a proof that I've clearly showed. So continue watching more and more videos. Thank you very much and all the very best for your careers, guys.